I'm done, Emma. This marriage is over. I've found someone better, and I've moved your stuff to a storage unit in Kelowna. My name's Emma Wilson. I'm 42 years old, and I'm standing in my kitchen in our Kelowna condo, staring at my phone at 11:58 p.m. on a Wednesday. My husband Liam was supposed to be on day 3 of a business trip to Vancouver, but this text hits me like a brick, and I read it again. My hands shaking, not because I'm sad, but because this clarity cuts through when the truth I've been ignoring finally lands. He sent a screenshot of a bank transfer $142,000, gone from our joint savings, to an account I've never seen. I set my phone down on the counter and grab a glass of water because I need something to hold while my brain catches up to the fact that 12 years of marriage ended with one text and a screenshot. I saw the signs for months, maybe years. His weekend trips that stretched into weeks, new gym clothes he never wore at home, phone calls that stopped when I walked in. I noticed it all. I'm a financial advisor. Spotting things that don't add up is what I do for a living, but I kept quiet. Maybe that was my mistake, or maybe my mistake was marrying someone who thought my job was just numbers and paperwork. I pull my laptop from the dining table and log into an email account Liam doesn't know about. 3 alerts from my bank's security system say someone tried to change passwords on accounts he's never heard of. I have to give him credit, he's thorough. I type 2 words back to him, "Good luck," and call my sister Claire. "Remember that emergency plan we put together 4 years ago?" I say when she picks up, "It's time." She asks, "Are you sure?" I say, "Yes. He just made his move." I hang up and glance at a wedding photo on the wall, the only picture left in this condo with both of us in it. I should have seen that too. I met Liam Carter at a Kelowna networking event. I was 30 fresh off a broken engagement and pouring everything into my financial advisory business. He was 32, full of charm and big plans, but he didn't care about my work. He'd say, "Emma, I don't need to know the details. Just keep the money coming in." We got married after 18 months. I paid for his craft brewery startup with my savings. When he wanted a bigger house in a fancier Kelowna neighborhood, I said sure. When he wanted luxury SUVs and ski trips to Whistler, I wrote the checks. My dad warned me once while we were fixing his shed in Vernon. He stopped hammer in hand and said, "Emma, your husband spends a lot of your money. Just make sure he values what you do to earn it." I laughed it off, but it stuck with me. 5 years into our marriage, I started protecting my assets. Nothing illegal, just cautious. I set up 2 private corporations, created trusts, moved investments into crypto, and opened offshore accounts for international clients. Liam only knew about our joint accounts, nothing else. I watched him get pulled into Kelowna's fitness scene, his Instagram filling up with gym selfies and wellness retreats. He started taking trips with his fitness buddies, first weekends, then full weeks. He'd say, "Emma, you wouldn't like it. It's just protein shakes and motivational talks." Last Christmas, he forgot my birthday. When I brought it up, he bought me a $3,000 necklace and said I've been swamped with the brewery expansion. I took the necklace, but that night I locked in my contingency plan. The signs were screaming. I just didn't want to hear them. The morning after his text, I wake up at 5:30 and make coffee same as always because routines keep you from falling apart. I log into my financial system, one I built for clients, but tweaked for myself. With a few clicks, I activate the contingency plan. Claire and I set up years ago. I freeze all joint accounts and credit cards and trigger a fraud alert on the $142,000 transfer using my banking contacts to push it through fast. I email my lawyer with proof of financial misconduct and instructions to file for divorce right away. I call my mom and say, "Liam's gone. He took our money and moved my stuff out while he was supposedly in Vancouver." She's quiet for a moment. She says, "I'm sorry, Emma, but I'm not surprised. What are you going to do?" I say I've been ready for this. I'm protecting what's mine. An hour later, my phone lights up with Liam's name. I let it go to voicemail. 12 more calls come in. Then a text, "What the hell? Emma, the money's gone and my cards don't work." I don't answer. I drive to the storage unit he mentioned in his text. Using the code he sent, I find 3 boxes of my clothes and my work laptop, but my family photos, my dad's old watch, the books he left me, they're gone. That's when something snaps in me. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about 12 years thrown away like they were nothing, and it's about someone thinking they can erase me from my own life. I stop at a cafe on Bernard Avenue, not to drink anything, but to think. I open my laptop and use financial databases only licensed advisors can access. I pull up everything on Sophia Reed. The yoga instructor Liam's been tagging in his stories for months, the someone better he mentioned in his text. What I find doesn't surprise me. Sophia's wellness brand is drowning in debt with 4 maxed-out credit cards, a lease she can't afford, and Liam co-signed a $50,000 loan for her yoga studio 3 months ago. I close my laptop and drive to a hotel near the lake, not to hide but to focus. For the first time in years, I'm not angry, I'm clear, and I know exactly what I need to do. Monday morning, I walk into my office like it's any other day. My assistant, Rachel, looks up and says, "Emma, I thought you'd take some time off. Liam called here 5 times already." I say, "Did he?" Not a question. She says he's freaking out about some mix-up with your accounts. I nod and say, "If he calls again, tell him to contact my lawyer." By noon, Liam's gone from calls to showing up at my office. The receptionist buzzes me and says, "Your husband's here. He's not leaving." I sigh and walk to the lobby. Liam's standing there in his designer gym clothes, sunglasses pushed up on his head, flashing that charming smile he's used for 12 years to get his way. He says, "Emma, there's a huge bank error. Our accounts are locked up loud enough for everyone to hear." I say, "No error. You transferred $142,000 without my permission. The bank flagged it as fraud." His smile fades. He says, "It's our joint account. I'm your husband." I say, "You're my soon-to-be ex-husband who emptied our savings while telling me you're done and found someone else that's textbook fraud." His voice drops, and he says, "You can't do this, Emma. I've got commitments with Sophia Reed." I say I know all about those commitments. His eyes flash, and he says, "You're digging into my life." I say I'm protecting myself from theft, and if you want to fight this, go ahead. You think you know everything. I built those accounts. You'll see what's coming in court. I look at him and say, "You think that's all there is? You'll find out soon enough." I turn and walk back to my office, feeling the weight of 12 years lift off my shoulders, because I'm not the one who's trapped anymore. I'm sitting in my hotel room in Kelowna, the one I checked into after Liam's text tore my world open, and I'm not crying or losing it because that burning clarity from last week is now a razor-sharp focus, and I know I'm not the one. Who's going to lose this battle? I open my laptop that Monday night after shutting Liam down at my office and log back into those financial databases only licensed advisors can access and dig deeper into Sophia Reed's wellness brand, the one Liam's been pouring our money into. And what I find makes my blood boil, not because it's a surprise, but because it's exactly what I suspected. Sophia's yoga studio has been hemorrhaging cash for over a year, and Liam's been keeping it afloat with our joint account, small transfers at first, then bigger ones totaling $80,000 over 12 months, and I sit back in my chair, feeling this cold fury settle in because this wasn't a one-off betrayal, it was a calculated plan. I keep digging and find emails between Liam and Sophia, ones he didn't know I could see through an old shared account he forgot about, and they're not just business emails. They're personal, spelling out how they've been using our money to prop up her studio while planning their new life together. I save every single one and send them to my lawyer with a note saying, "Add this to the fraud filing," because this isn't just theft, it's a betrayal that's been simmering for months. I'm not shaking anymore. I'm steady, and I know my next move. I grab my keys and drive to Sophia's yoga studio on Pandusy Street, not to cause a scene, but to let her know I see right through her. I walk in mid-afternoon. The place is half empty with a few people on mats, and Sophia's at the front in her branded yoga gear, all smiles until she spots me. I don't yell. I just say, "Sophia, we need to talk about the $50,000 loan Liam co-signed for this place. using our joint assets, and her face goes white like she's been caught red-handed. She tries to laugh it off and says, "Emma, there's been a misunderstanding. Liam and I are just business partners." But I cut her off and say, "Business partners don't siphon $80,000 from my account for a year." And her smile vanishes, and she stammers something about checking her records. I say, "You do that, but the bank's already checking, and they're not happy." And I turn and walk out feeling her stare, and knowing she's unraveling because she should be. I get back to my hotel, and my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number saying, "Back off. Emma, you're making this worse than it needs to be." And I know it's Liam, because who else would be this panicked? I don't reply, but I forward the text to Claire, my sister, who's a cybersecurity expert, and I say, "Can you trace this number and see what else he's hiding?" She calls me back in an hour and says, "Emma, this number's tied to a prepaid phone, but I've got something better." I hacked into Sophia's studio's public Wi-Fi records and found Liam's been logging in there almost daily for months, even when he said he was in Vancouver. I say keep digging and send me everything, because I'm not just fighting for my money, I'm fighting for my life. Claire says she's on it, and I hang up feeling this surge of control, because Liam and Sophia think they're slick, but they have no idea what's coming. The next morning, I'm at my office acting like it's just another day, because showing up keeps my head clear. Rachel, my assistant, looks at me and says, "Emma, you're handling this better than I would." Liam called again and sounded unhinged. I say let him call. He's only digging his own hole. I check my email, and there's a message from my lawyer saying the bank's fraud team has escalated the $142,000 transfer to a full investigation, and they found more unauthorized transfers going back 18 months, totaling another $30,000, all linked to Sophia's studio. I lean back in my chair and feel this mix of rage and satisfaction, because Liam didn't just betray me, he built a whole system to rob me, and I'm the one who's going to tear it apart. I call Claire again and say, "What else do you have?" She says, "Emma, I found something big. Sophia's been funneling money from her studio to an LLC registered in Liam's name, and it's tied to a new lease for a condo in downtown Kelowna." I say they're planning to live together off my money, and Claire says, "Exactly, but there's more. The LLC has a $75,000 loan Liam co-signed using your marital assets as collateral without your consent." I say that's illegal, right? And she says, "Yeah, it's fraud, and your lawyer's going to love this." I tell her to send me the documents, and I forward them to my lawyer with a note saying, "File this for emergency asset protection, because I'm not letting them touch another cent." That afternoon, I get another text from the unknown number saying, "You're going too far. Emma, you'll pay for this." And I save it and send it to my lawyer, because every move Liam makes is another mistake piling up. I drive to Claire's house that evening, and we sit at her kitchen table going through the records she's pulled. She shows me bank statements from Sophia's LLC, and it's a disaster with overdrafts, late payments, and a trail of my money keeping it alive. I say, "How did I miss this for so long?" And Claire says, "You didn't miss it. You just didn't want to believe it. But now you know, and you're fighting back." I nod and feel this weight shift, because she's right. I'm not the victim. I'm the one with the power. The next day, I'm back at my office, and my lawyer emails me a court hearing notice for next week, saying the divorce and fraud cases are moving forward together, and the judge has agreed to expedite based on the forgery evidence. I read it and feel this spark of something new. Not victory, not yet, but this sense that I'm taking back my life piece by piece. I call Claire and say, "We're almost there," and she says, "You're unstoppable. I didn't know you had this in you." I say neither did I, but Liam brought it out, and now he's going to deal with it. I hang up and check my phone, and there's another message from a friend, saying, "Emma, I heard Liam's side, but now I see what he did. I'm sorry for doubting you, and I don't reply, because I don't need their approval. I need this to be done." The next morning, I get an email from Karen saying the banks repossessed Sophia's yoga studio because she defaulted on the $50,000 loan Liam co-signed, and the $75,000 loan is now in collections, hitting Liam's LLC like a wrecking ball. I check my financial system and see the LLC's accounts are overdrawn with creditors closing in, and I know it's only a matter of time before it's gone completely. I call Karen and say, make sure the court knows about the repossession and the LLC because I want the judge to see the whole mess. And she says, we're way ahead of you. The hearing's going to be brutal for them. I hang up and feel this calm spreading because I'm not just fighting, I'm dismantling everything Liam and Sophia tried to build with my money and my life. That afternoon, my phone buzzes with messages from mutual friends, ones who fell for Liam's sob story before, and now they're saying, we had no idea what he did. We're so sorry for doubting you, and I don't reply because I don't need their apologies. I needed them to see the truth, and now they do. I call Claire and say people are finally waking up, and she says, you've turned this around. People are talking about Liam's lies, not your fight. And I say good because I'm done being the bad guy in his version of events. I hang up and start sorting through my dad's old watch and family photos. The ones I got back from the storage unit, and I put them in a safe place because they're what I'm fighting for. Not just the money, but the parts of me Liam can't touch. The next day, I'm at my office, and Rachel says, Emma, you've got to check this. Sophia's Instagram is gone, and there's a notice on her studio's website saying it's closed for good. I nod and say, she's finished, and I check my email, and there's a message from Karen saying the courts approved our emergency asset protection and all marital assets are frozen until the hearing and Liam's LLC filed for bankruptcy this morning because he couldn't cover the $75,000 loan default. I lean back in my chair and feel this lightness because Liam and Sophia's world is falling apart, and I'm the one who made it happen, not out of anger, but because it's justice. I call Claire and say it's almost over, and she says, you're unstoppable. I'm proud of you. And I say thanks, but I'm just getting started because I'm not done until the judge puts the final stamp on this. That evening, I get another text from Liam's burner number saying, Emma, I'm begging you, I've lost everything. Just drop the charges, and I save it and send it to Karen, because his desperation is just more evidence and I'm not here to bail him out. I don't reply because there's nothing to say. I drive to my lawyer's office the next morning to go over the final court prep, and Karen says, we've got the forgeries, the hidden accounts, the threats, and the repossession records, and the judge is going to see exactly what Liam and Sophia did. I say, what about the divorce? And she says it's tied to the fraud case. You're getting everything you asked for. No alimony, full control of your assets, and Liam takes the debt he ran up. I nod and feel this peace settling in because I'm finally free of his grip, and I'm not looking back. The day of the hearing, I'm standing outside the Kelowna courthouse, and I'm not nervous or mad, I'm ready. I've spent 12 years building a life that Liam tried to rip away, and now I'm here to take it all back. I check my phone, and there's a message from Claire saying, you've got this, go finish it, and I smile because she's right. I walk inside and see Liam sitting with his lawyer, looking like a shadow of the man I married. And Sophia's there too, her face tight like she knows it's over. I don't stare because they're not worth my time anymore. I take my seat and wait for the judge to call us, and I know whatever happens in that courtroom I've already won because I'm not the one who's trapped. I'm the one who's free, and I'm ready to end this for good. I'm sitting in the Kelowna courtroom, waiting for the judge to deliver the ruling, and I'm not fidgeting or sweating because I fought too hard to get here, and I know the truth is on my side after everything Liam and Sophia tried to pull. The judge starts reading the decision and says the evidence of fraud is overwhelming. Liam Carter forged Emma Wilson's signature on multiple loan agreements, including the $75,000 loan for Sophia Reed's yoga studio and the $142,000 transfer from their joint account, and the court finds both defendants liable for financial misconduct and criminal charges will proceed through the district attorney, and I sit there, feeling this quiet strength, because it's not just a win, it's the end of Liam's lies. The judge continues and says the divorce is granted. Emma Wilson retains full control of all marital assets, no alimony will be awarded, and Liam Carter assumes responsibility for all debts incurred, including the $75,000 loan and the $50,000 loan tied to the studio, and I nod because every word is exactly what I fought for. The judge finishes and says Sophia Reed's studio assets are subject to repossession and her LLC is under bankruptcy review. And I glance at Liam and Sophia across the room, looking like they've been hit by a truck, and I don't feel joy. I feel peace, because justice isn't about gloating, it's about setting things right. I walk out of the courthouse and check my phone, and there's a text from Claire, my sister, saying, "You did it, Emma. I'm so proud." And I smile and reply, "Thanks for having my back, because she's been my rock through this whole mess." I call my lawyer Karen and say it's over, and she says, "Emma, you didn't just win, you dominated the evidence, was bulletproof, and Liam and Sophia are facing serious charges now." And I say good, they earned it, and hang up feeling this weight. I didn't even know I was carrying lift off my shoulders. I drive to my office because I need to keep moving, and Rachel, my assistant, looks at me and says, "Emma, you look lighter than I've seen you in months. What happened?" And I say the judge gave me everything, the divorce, the assets, the truth, and Rachel hugs me and says, "You deserve this." And I nod because for the first time in a long time, I believe it. The next day, I'm packing up my hotel room because I'm done living out of suitcases, and I've signed a lease on a small house in Kelowna. Nothing fancy, just a craftsman-style place, with enough space for me to start over. I move in that weekend and set up my dad's old watch and family photos on a shelf, and feel this calm settle in. Because these are the things Liam couldn't take, and they're reminders of who I am outside of his betrayal. I call Claire and say I'm in the new place, and she says, "Emma, you sound different, like you're finally free." And I say, "Yeah, I think I am." And we plan a fishing trip to Okanagan Lake for the next weekend, because Dad used to take us there, and it feels right to go back now. I hang up and check my email, and there's a message from Karen saying the district attorney's moving forward with charges against Liam and Sophia for the forgeries and the $150,000 in unauthorized loans, and I don't reply. Because there's nothing left to say, they're facing the consequences they built. A few days later, I'm at my office, and Rachel says, "Emma, you've got to check this. Sophia's been posting online about starting over in Calgary, and Liam's LinkedIn says he's relocated to Toronto to launch a new venture." And I laugh because they're running, but they can't outrun what they did. I check my financial system one last time and see the bank's recovered $30,000 from Liam's LLC accounts, and it's back in my savings, and I know the rest will come eventually, but it's not about the money anymore, it's about closing this chapter. I call Karen and say, "Thanks for everything." And she says, "Emma, you fought like hell and you won." And I say, "Yeah, but I'm ready to move on now." And she says, "You've earned it." And I hang up feeling this quiet pride, because I didn't just survive, rebuilt. The fishing trip with Claire is the next weekend, and we're out on Okanagan Lake in a rented boat, casting lines and laughing about old times. And I realize I haven't thought about Liam or Sophia in days, and it feels like breathing again. Claire looks at me and says, "Emma, you're different now, stronger." And I say, "Yeah, I had to lose everything to find that." And we keep fishing, and I catch a small trout and let it go. Because sometimes letting go is the point. I get back to my new house that evening and sit on the porch with a coffee, and my phone's quiet. No more texts from Liam. No more messages from friends trying to pick sides. And I know this is what peace feels like, not loud or showy, just real. A week later, I'm at my office, and I tell Rachel, I'm taking 2 weeks off because I need to step away and just be for a while. And she says, "Emma, you've earned it. Where are you going?" And I say I'm driving up to Vernon to visit Dad's old cabin. Maybe do some more fishing. I pack my truck the next morning and lock up the house and hit the road, and there's this freedom in not knowing exactly what's next, but knowing it's mine to choose. I think about the last 12 years, how I let Liam shape so much of who I was. How I saw the signs, but looked away, how I built a plan deep down, because some part of me knew this day would come. I don't feel angry or bitter. I feel whole, because I fought for myself and won, not just in court, but in my life. I get to the cabin and unpack my dad's old fishing gear, and there's a picture of him and me on the wall from when I was a kid, and I smile because he'd be proud of me, not for winning, but for standing up. I call Claire and say, I'm here, and it feels right. And she says, Dad would love this, Emma. You're doing him proud. And I say, yeah, I think so too, and hang up. I spend the next few days fishing and walking the trails, and it's not about forgetting what happened, it's about remembering who I am without it. I check my email one last time before I disconnect, and there's a final message from Karen saying Liam's been formally charged with fraud, and Sophia's facing the same, and the bank's recovered another $20,000, and I don't reply because it's done. I turn off my phone and head to the lake and cast my line and feel this peace that's been building since the courtroom finally settle because I'm not carrying Liam's lies anymore. I'm carrying myself, and that's enough.